Hello, humans, and welcome to another wonderful and exciting and action-packed fun time of Voidwalker boot sequence.
Woo.
Jamboree.
Jamborinos.
Sorry.
Hi. I'm trying to. I feel like
Nut.
hold on one second. Okay, so Tara will be joining us when she gets off work, when she's back from work. We'll go ahead and get started. So you're all leveled up?
Yep.
Cool. What did we got not ability score, we got proficiency went up at level 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Third level spells.
Third level spells? What spells do you take?
I've got clairvoyance, counterspell, and slow.
Ooh, I love those.
I took haste and magic circle.
I love those. I love magic circle.
Mm-hmm.
Level 3 spells, that's what we're discussing.
Yeah.
All
These casters.
Speak with dead
Nice.
and feign death.
Nice. Nice.
That's cool. Come at us though. Let's see what happens. It's gonna be interesting.
Combat ready.
You can use your Speak with Dead spells to work with dead systems as well as dead creatures.
Ooh.
So you could speak to like a derelict, like ship's memory core, or kind of like it'd be very specific. It won't work all the time, but as we kind of
When it
expand the
does.
spell list. Okay. Cool. So at the end of last session, you guys had boarded the platform that was basically a giant loading dock into the Starliner that was going to take you through the warp gates. You knew that it was probably best to move away from the edge, the outer rim of the void, simply because the orcs that have been pursuing you have been so relentless. It's going to be nearly impossible to lose them once they've got your scent out on the outer rim of the void. Only the protection of the Mythcore affiliated paladin troops will really kind of keep them at bay, or at least keep them civilized. They're like, it's not like they're not allowed in the core planets, but they're much better behavior than they are here, where they are kind of free to roam. And you learned last time that this Starliner should have had they should have been flying basically from deep space outpost to deep space outpost, and these outposts have had the kind of the message relay buoys that kind of sit up there, but none of the patrols. So there's been decidedly no protection for this ship the way it should be, and by the time when the ship gets hit and you realize what's happening, it doesn't take. You can kind of gather those things pretty quickly just by assessing the situation. The ship itself has kind of a asymmetrical triangular shape. So it looks like has the hypotenuse is this long side of the ship, and on that side are all the quarters, and it looks like a big like wall kind of floating from one angle, and then it has a wide slope, and on that slope is kind of set into it just like a skyline of different buildings, different outdoor atmospheric spaces, high-end kind of gambling facilities, and different types of resort amenities, shopping kind of in the middle area, and then there are some like natural park areas that kind of go along the one side, protected by a arcane force field, so they're kind of open into the space. So it's kind of, you can go out there and you can swim or walk around. Also, if you're transporting a large animal, they might have you keep it in this part of the area as opposed to like putting it in like cryo freeze underneath or whatever. You can't keep them with you. The other noticeable size on the bottom is it's almost like it looks completely flat and like matte gray, but this would be where all the escape pods are. And the way the escape pods are set up, they're set up by rooms, and then all the rooms have a pod that they would report to. So you can normally fit about 5 to 6 families on each of these escape pods, and they are programmed to go out into space. They find the nearest celestial body, and they land, and they ping, and they wait for whatever like mid-core facility they're responsible for, which can be dubious. But just telling you that to let you know that, well, maybe not. Yeah, I don't know if I should tell you everything that's happened. You know that ship's been hit. You guys teleported. You hacked your way into the system. I'm going to say you made your way into one of the private, like, ambassador club areas where you get first-class teleportation straight to the admiral suite. You know, so you weren't in, like, a restricted area so much as you went into a very expensive area, and at first, get out of here. What are you guys doing under this camera? Get out of here. Go on. Go, little dogs. Run, be free. Be free. Don't stand there anymore. Thank you. So, sorry, my dogs confused me, and now I don't know what life is. And when you land, so I imagine you would like exit the area that you were in to kind of like draw, you know, you don't want to stay in the place where you just kind of illegally like, oh, sorry, wrong area. And you kind of make your way out into the hallway. And it's when you're kind of in this transitional time is when the ships get hit. And then you maybe see on some monitors when you're walking by some arcane eye cameras that are able to capture an outside view of the ship. These invisible sensors that help the pilots navigate the ship in three-dimensional space. And you guys can see that the orc blade, that is to say its entire fleet that's been kind of chained together, has rammed itself up on the bottom side of the ship, right where all the escape pods are. So all this whole side of the ship, and what they're doing, and what you can hear people shouting as mech peacekeepers, auto, double AIs. I think I'd settled on double AI as the term. They're autonomous artifact intelligences. So anyone who's gone full auto, who basically, well, I shouldn't tell you everything. I should show you. We should learn it together. But these things are kind of like the general purpose, like peacekeeper droids. They kind of sit up in alcoves, and then when there's a problem, they kind of run out. They're not super interested in who bought a ticket for where right now because of the crisis, and the ship has gone into a emergency purple mode. It's a really soft, and there's a soft voice saying like, "Do not worry. Well, we are experiencing technical difficulties," and of course, people on the ship are starting to freak out. Right now, though, it's not full blown panic mode. It's more like when is the response coming? There's a lot of like people expect certain things to be happening, like the paladin team that should be within 2 or 3 jumps of here should be here within 15-20 minutes, and I would say that might be the time, this little buffer where everyone's kind of like, oh, we're waiting for the next moment, might be the time where you guys can make a plan, because it wouldn't be until that time passes where you guys would also go, okay, well, there should have been a response here by now. I guess this confirms what we know, that the Destro Corp is working in line with these orcs. No one saw them come out. They didn't see where the ships came from. They seem to have appeared out of nowhere. And you guys are interceded by 2 passengers. Interceded, a word? I just make up a word.
I think it's a combination of
Like
a
8
couple
words? Okay.
Get
Max,
in
get in this house.
Get in here.
Max! I'm crazy.
Or at least it's not quite. Because interceding's like praying and then,
Yeah. Well, okay, that works because these 2 figures kind of bust around the corner, and they beckon to you almost as if they know you. One of these people is this his stuff? People. One of them is a full auto. I just found some art on the internet. I like. That's kind of cool. Double AI that has big old crushy arms.
I'm very impressed.
His in clear green, olive green lettering is this would have been Kalen's character tonight. Is the manufacturer number and his like model number, so it's MK9. So his name's Mark 9. And with him is a kind of a pulpy looking trench coat wearing man and with a rather coarse beard. He looks like Liam Neeson. He's Qui-Gon Jinn. That's the character I'm pulling from. But he's this like Rick Deckard Qui-Gon Jinn. So he kind of comes around the corner and he grabs you by the arm. Because as he's reaching for you, not in response to him doing anything, maybe you don't know this, but out of nowhere you feel your like very essence being pulled in multiple directions, and you kind of snap back too. So basically, in your ability to starting to peer through available timelines, maybe futures, you're starting to feel them kind of pulling at you, and you kind of double over, and he catches you. So he kind of walks up and he kind of catches you from falling.
What? Okay.
Yeah, and he says, I don't have time to talk. He says, your friend's in trouble, referencing to you. He says, he's like me. And he kind of pushes you guys into this mop closet. It's like,
This
and he
is
goes,
far too small
there's
for
all
all
of you, and then Mark 2 is going to stand outside the door, this big, like, as you guys walk in, he goes, he doesn't. Do you speak binary?
Yeah.
Okay. So you understand it. He says, hi, don't be scared. So he's like a BB-8 in the head, but like a big construction robot droid. It's two different pieces.
It's cute.
Yeah, this little...
I'm not going to share that with you guys,
No,
though.
that's fair.
Chester is overtly terrified.
Yeah, so he closes the door, and you start to retch over and start to scream. I should have introduced this at the very beginning of the session. Sorry, just the plot.
Why?
And as I see it, it's like a 3D comic where it's multiple lines of color. I see multiple versions of these lines kind of being pulled out from you, so it's like you're being pulled away from your body, and it's like the multiverse is like pulling at you.
I assume no one else can see this.
No one else can see this. He reveals his name. He says, "You can call me Ducard." So he's even got a name of one of Liam Neeson's characters, specifically from Batman Begins. Let's see how deep my treasure trove of things is. Ducard, he says he starts just telling the audience all the things I just said to you, and he's basically saying that you have multiverse sickness that like you can't live. Your exposure to Aetherwave, which he can tell is what's happened to you, is suffused your cells, and you're starting to literally pull apart from yourself in multiple directions. He is going to. He's a little Doctor Strange too, because then he does this little like. Because he's old school magic, so this is the first thing you notice is that as he pulls back his jacket, he has 4 or 5 smaller books like notepads, and he pulls them out, and he has all of his spell list broken up into different pieces. So you, even if you're trying to inspect them, you can't tell what spell he's casting because he's not using complete parts of spells.
Damn it.
He has a codex in his mind that he uses to or like a cipher, I guess is a better way to say that, to decrypt his spell taking. Roll me if she was here, she would roll, but you can roll me a insight, Chester.
I don't have insight.
Okay, you can roll me a, what is that, wisdom?
Yes, wisdom.
You can roll me a wisdom.
Cool. 11.
You feel like you've seen this kind of thing before, but it's where from? But he as he's pulling these books out, then he very quickly does some magical components, material and semantic, and all the wizard stuff. So he's actually got little pieces like he pulls out, and I'm not gonna say everything because I don't have the brain space for that. But he's doing his bit. And then he takes his hand and he pushes your head down, back, and when he does, all those extra U's kind of pop into you, and You are back in control of your facilities. You haven't taken any damage. This guy has clearly helped you. He didn't say. He basically just says that you he's realigned you. That you're going to have to continue to worry about this as you delve into.
What was that you just did? What was that you just did to him?
Yeah, I just realigned his astral self. He just
right.
like basically.
And Chester starts opening his book. He's like, "Where's that in here? Can you show me?" And he's like annoying this guy.
Yeah, and he says, "I'll get to you in a moment."
Okay.
From now
I'll
on,
be here.
you have what you notice now is that when you're talking and looking at people, you now permanently can see multiple things happening. You now notice with this guy, with Master Descartes, that he has two full selves functioning right now because he's under the effects of a foresight spell. Okay. So he is currently in two alternate timelines in the present.
Okay.
And you can kind of see when people make choices and decisions, for a second you can kind of see when they're kind of looking through those. Mm-hmm. And then you can see which one. It's just a little bit, as you grow into this ability, you'll be able to predict people's movements. My plan with this divination thing is for you to be able to turn into like a mini DM power, where you can start to change the story as we get deeper into it and as you level up.
Cool.
The way this manifests in gameplay is now whenever you have advantage, you roll with 3d20s.
Okay.
Instead of disadvantage instead of 2.
Okay.
That's crazy. And you're gonna start rolling more and more dice because I love the idea of getting to roll tons of d20s.
Dice.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really fun.
So, and you can manifest that any way you want to, physically, or it can just be completely internalized, however you want to play that up. And he kind of gets you, and he says, and then with that, there's another big lurch, an explosion down the hallway. You can hear now a red alert and fire suppressants out in the hallway. Mark II opens the door, and he's like, "Hey, we gotta get out of here." But it's a bunch of
we have to get out of here.
Oh, I think that's a great idea.
And
That's a small closet.
Why are we still in here?
he goes ahead. He, being Master Descartes, looks at you and he points at the book. He's gonna say we need to walk and talk, and so you guys are gonna start running. First things first, before he starts spouting exposition, let's as a group figure out what the plan is, because he's just gonna kind of try to take charge, and I don't know if that's how any of you roll, is just letting these guys kind of run your life. So why don't we, in the meta game, real quick, figure out what you think the best course of action would be right now, with as little knowledge as you have, knowing that if you want to know more about the ship's systems, you might have to go into a comms area to get a diagnostic. You could do that, or you could immediately start trying to save people. There are a few options there. You know that orcs are going to be in the area. Orcs and their tribe are going to be in the area, coming in through the place where everyone's running to. That's maybe the most dastardly thing. That's great. That's the most dastardly thing about this, is that they know everyone will be running the way the arrows point them to, and right now that's kind of what Descartes is kind of lying out there, and he's saying to basically if we can get through this, I can tell you all about that book, and I can tell you all about those deaths.
Oh, that's wonderful news. Okay, well then, let's. What should we do?
Couple of questions.
Yes.
So is there a steerage class, or is this all high dollar yuppies?
There is a economy level, and it's the difference between having a room to stay in and getting. The cheapest version of this is being frozen and putting into like cold storage, and you can do that for very affordable. That would I think technically that's what your guys' tickets are, which means you would also be the last to be evacuated, and you'd be evacuated differently. It would be like the bottom halves of the ship all break off into levels. Mm-hmm. One of them being the ship, the part with all the remember all the vehicles are landed on one platform. So. And
then down there, would there be vehicles with void drives?
There would be.
Okay. which would be on the escape pod part of the triangle? No.
No.
Then
It
where
would be
that be?
on the...
Parks and Rec?
It's decidedly like a lower level. So there are... The way I break up the ship is instead of worrying about where you need to be, just think of locations.
Okay.
And then they kind of... so that is a location that you could think of. You've been on the platform. It's now just like a warehouse space.
Okay.
And it's located on the lower decks. Roll a investigation. I can tell you how many scenes it will take for you to get from here to there.
22.
Where you're at the ship right now, you're kind of smack dab in the middle of the ship.
Okay.
You can go there one scene. You can cut to the next, to that space if you want to
Okay.
go.
Would the steerage freezing things be on that lower level, or would
That
it
would
be
be
different?
even further away. That's going to be 2 scenes. You'd have to go down through that, through another hallway, and then or through another set of. It would be like it's an a restricted area that's
Okay.
not open to the general public, so people
Okay.
can't mess with the bodies or steal things from them, that kind of thing.
And are these in the direction of the orcs, in the opposite direction?
They are effectively in an opposite direction
Okay.
of the orcs. The orcs are the orc blade will start making its way deeper into the ship.
Right.
The more scenes that you pass, and the deeper it goes, the more likely there will be orcs in that space.
Right. Do we had the cut scene at the end of the last
Mhm.
time where we saw the dad of the guy that we'd killed.
Sure.
Do we have any awareness of leadership structures of a blade?
I think that Master Descartes, that would be one of the things you
So-
could ask him about, and
Right.
he would be
So
able
then
to.
one of the questions coming forward, and please the rest of you chime in, would be where that guy would be. Do they lead from the front? Do they lead from the back? Do they stay on the ship?
He said that he will be on the ship but he reserves the right to basically the orc chieftain, like the general of each blade, has the right to steal a hunt, to take
Okay.
over a hunt, and if enough honor is lost, it might be on him to reclaim
Right.
this stake, because they have like a strong sense of family. It's kind of twisted.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and then there was the other reference last time that if perhaps we were to kill him, we could assume leadership of this group.
You could Master Descartes looks at you with an inquisitive look. He says, maybe you better look into the future on that one, son. He's like, that's interesting. And he kind of racks his brain as you guys are going down this corridor. He tucks in because you guys hear the footsteps of some of these robo soldiers kind of ching plodding by. Better not to be seen.
Right.
And as you do, he does a little bit of a magic twist, and he creates a magical wall. So he's just starting to show to you that he is a master arcanist, and that of the old order. He's not using any kind of like magical gear. He's just got his books all kind of like gun harnessed up, because I'm a nerd and I like things like that. And
So does Chester. He's
Yeah.
like, ooh.
and he's got a certain rugged effectiveness to him. You can see that with your little bit of knowledge that he's got mage armor on. You can tell that he's operating. You know, he's a pretty high level spellcaster. And the way he's talking to you, he kind of reveals to you that there are multiple people after you. That isn't just one thing. And he says it all has to do with that tome that you've inherited. And when he says that, kind of in this moment of reprieve, he kind of taps it with his hand, and when he does, it ripples. And as it ripples, you can see that it's just a plain leather-bound manuscript that has a form this more ornate, kind of larger, kind of bigger book. So to imply that there's some sort of magic about the book itself. He doesn't seem interested in taking it from you. As if he feels like he makes it very clear to you that he thinks that it's better in your hands. He explains that he's with a group of people called the Templar, who believe in the natural order of the Arcana element, of the Arcana question, who should have magic. They believe in justice and freedom and magic for all, but they believe, and they have fallen in the last 1,000 years, they've fallen into kind of a sequestered mindset. Their fear is that if too much magic is discovered, that MythCore and its subsidiaries will absorb everything, and then they'll be too powerful to ever take down. They'll be too powerful for the common man to ever free the automators and to, like, seize the means of production, viewer. So
Good.
and he basically he's saying that because of that, they, in his opinion, they lost sight, and he's part of a splinter group they call the Network. They don't really have a name. I was thinking as a writer, like, what do you call your secret thing, especially in that post like rebel world?
Right.
And I was thinking, why would they have a name? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. They don't have a name.
Other people have names for them
They have
if they
names.
knew about it.
Yeah,
right.
other people have names for them. Maybe we'll learn those names for them. I like giving them multiple names, but the people inside of it don't call it. We're anonymous.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
best
the
friends gang.
buddies.
But they do maybe refer to it as the Network, or you know, they might refer to their colleagues. Very like broad generalisms.
Okay.
He's part of this fallen order. Basically, think of the Jedi, but the entirety of the Jedi are more like opposed to the general consensus of the rest of the world. They're more like a Sith figure, even though they aren't broken up in that form of morality. It isn't like it isn't that they are like they pursue passion, and it isn't like that. But the idea is that this guy has decided that he believes that interventionism, like they need to step up. They need to figure something out. They're losing grips of things, and basically they have an order of these Templar that choose to take on the burden of being outcasts so they can work outside of it. They still keep a lot of the respect of their brethren and sisterin, right? They still may like keep those friendships. They don't abandon it. It's almost, for some of them, especially not the ones in the core, they can see it as a badge of honor, kind of having to, like a double agent kind of thing. So he's like a double agent Jedi, and he's
You are talkative, Picard.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
so.
Thank you.
Basically, he explains that he says that he settled the debt, that he was trying to, they were trying to kill you, and the people that had the book, because the book is a key to the tomb of the face of, what did I name it? Tomb of the Forgotten Mage, or the Faceless Mage, or the Unnamed Wizard. There's 1,000 names for this place.
Wait, just a moment. And he's going to go through his bag. In my background as an archaeologist, I have a map of a tomb. And is it that? Oh, you know
The
that.
interior of a map, or where a map is?
You know, it's like, no, part of in the background is that you have a map of a tomb. It doesn't say what
wonderful.
tomb. So he takes it out. He's like, is this it? And he's like showing it to him.
He looks at you and he says, "Oh, by the euphemism of this indigenous people,
Some deity.
by Odin's beard." You know, he looks at you and he says, "Where did you get this?"
Well, I've always had that. It's something that my father and his father had. I found it in an old hat in a
That's enough.
closet at my aunt's house.
And with that, you guys hear another crack. I will go ahead and cut to you. You guys were heading towards the
We were heading away from the escape pod, so yeah, let's say that we were steering hangar-ish.
hangar-ish. Okay, so you've made it to the hangar bay now. Because of the status of things, the door is locked down. Does anyone have any way of breaking any kind of arcane locks?
Yes.
Okay.
You do? Okay.
I would knock.
Okay, yeah, for sure. So do that.
Yeah, so I just go up to the door realizing it's in the way. And my wrist thing kind of just opens up and it sucks the magical energy out of it. And then
Cool.
there's an incredibly large noise.
Like a vacuum being filled, like a clucking as opposed to a knocking
Yeah, sure.
or popping.
Yeah, so it's you know,
That's cool.
just pops up, all the aether comes out, or the void, aether comes out, fills up the thing, it closes back up,
Cool.
and yeah, I cast knock.
Nice. And you do that, and with approval, he kind of looks at you, and you're getting very much the vibe of like this guy he's like, oh, finally, you know, he's got like that old wizard vibe about him. He's like, I've been waiting to play my role in all of these things.
Waiting to die as our mentor figure.
Yeah. So he runs up and he's impressed by your magic.
We're all together, right?
Yeah, you guys are all together,
Okay.
including Lucy. She's here too. She's just
Hi,
being
Lucy.
silent.
You're being real quiet.
He reveals some other stuff. Well, it's
Reduce.
So he says the book is a key to that tomb, and he thinks that the clerics of Mythcore think that that's a literal translation, but he and his people believe that it's actually a cipher, that it is a key to finding the tomb, as opposed to a literal key to opening the tomb.
It's hidden somewhere.
But that's why the orcs are after you. The orcs are after you because of the book itself, and also they've been promised Adam. So Adam is kind of just been dragged into drogoned into this.
Yeah, right, that's the one.
Yeah.
What's in this? What's in this tomb?
He says, "That, my friend, is the greatest question you'll ever ask."
Oh no.
That was it?
He says,
That was it?
Ever? Says no one's ever even found this tomb, and yet they want to kill. They've killed how many of your friends over it?
His eyes are like getting starry. He's like, this unseen tomb.
The tomb.
Than that.
The tomb you know about because this is your life's work.
Yeah.
I mean,
Can I
just
roll
to-
a history on it?
You don't need to. I'm just
Okay,
giving.
cool.
I'm just giving it. You're an authority in this. This is. You found the map a long time ago
Yeah.
in someone's attic, and it's been nagging at you ever since. And this is the tomb of the proto wizard. This is supposed to be the first person who helped find the formulations, who helped to siphon the Aether wave into places. If the goal is to find the language, the translator, the cipher for magic, so that the Templar can reinstate a magical era, this is the way that they're going to find it. This wizard is effectively Gandalf. He's Merlin. He's Hela. It's every classical wizard that you ever wanted. That fiction or history would tell you is one character. You know what I mean? The gray. I think the Odin would have been like the old gray man. So it could be any number of these folklore would fit into
That's
that.
cool.
How
But
old are you? Yeah.
36.
Oh, okay. So you're a young Sean Connery from Indiana Jones.
Yes.
Last Crusade.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
running with your hat and newspaper everywhere. We named the dog Indiana. Bolt the door. That's a different movie.
That's from last
My
week.
name is Ramirez. My wife Kimiko is from Japan. I'm a Spaniard.
Sorry to derail.
No, I don't think anyone's sorry about that. I'm sorry, Lady Bird. Lady Bird looks so distressed. All of the audience. Lady Bird. Oh, she
always looks distressed.
We should have a puppy cam. We should have
Yeah,
a
that
camera
is-
that's just for dogs.
I hope it starts with an I.
All right. So, as you guys he's kind of revealing all these moments to you. You hear another explosion from across the bay on if you're on the southwest side, that's the northeast side, so it's the direct opposite. There's an explosion, and you can hear snarling, screaming, yelling. You can tell very easily this is an orc little platoon of raiders. Roll a perception, as you guys, I'm assuming, are kind of ducking behind. Basically, think of this space as...
Not 20.
Oh!
Perfect.
I perceive
Yeah.
awful things.
Then we'll just call it a good for the group. Think of a warehouse. It's just quite literally just like a warehouse aesthetic, but it's 3 times as big as you think it might be, and it's housing a couple hundred small to medium spaceships, maybe maybe 2 or 3 of them are large-sized void ships. So there might be like one large structure. Yeah, let's go ahead and say in the center of this space, parked up, there is a large freighter that you could like climb on top of, and it could provide a lot of like interior cover if you could get inside the ship. And then there are any ships ranging from big enough for 2 people to 10 people, and they're just kind of it's set and parked as symmetrically as they or grid-like as they possibly can, with different sizes taking for, I think, like a giant game of Tetris. There was an AI that was in charge of landing all the ships in the most efficient way, still allowing for basically a 10-foot tunnel. So this is effectively a giant dungeon, an open-air dungeon with a more or less a castle in the middle of it that is a big freighter. And you guys could see the smoke and the explosion. And it is kind of an echoey space. So it is you have to be kind of thoughtful about being quiet.
Right.
But as far as you know, you rolled a nat 20.
Yes.
You find there's an access port right where you're standing, a control panel, and you just smash it with your hand, and then I think of your character. You gotta watch Endgame. It's got some good Nebula stuff, and I think of Nebula from the Guardians of the Galaxy series just a little bit. 'Cause she's like aggressive cyborg.
Yeah.
So and you just like your hand shifts into its interfacing module, and you plug in, and there are 4 arcane eye in this facility that are on kind of a like like a security cam setup, and they kind of rotate back and forth. And when you plug in, you can see into that, and you can kind of move it. She moves it right into your HUD. So when you unplug, as long as you stay in this room, once you leave the room, you won't be able to see these feeds anymore. But you can effectively watch from these 4 viewpoints, giving you advantages on stealth in this space, and giving you advantage on any attack rolls that you make before they are aware of your position, because you can kind of use this extra input, because that was a nice little nat 20. And with that, you guys all get a little inspired. Go ahead and have a hero point.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's really cool. Thanks, robot lady.
It's a really cool thing you just did, robot lady.
Oh my goodness. Let's take a break real quick to say thanks to the mayor, Mayor Robin-Boben.
Always.
He just said, first of all, he likes new layout. Thank you. Got little name tags for everybody. And he just said, special announcement, I have dice sets for you all. So I guess he got dice for us.
Yay!
He's literally the coolest fucking guy in the world. I have to talk to you too soon, my friend, because I have something I want to project I want to involve you on. The DM, it's a fellow DM, but I'll talk about that in private later. No, I'm great too. That's true. I am awesome. For sure. Okay, cool. So you get into the space, and with that, you can use those cameras to pretty much navigate through this space. You can choose, if you want to leave the space easily just by making a couple stealth checks, and you can go out the way that they came in. Or if you want to, you can start to explore the space. What are you looking for specifically? You want to find a ship with a void drive in it?
Yeah, that would be ideal.
Wouldn't Adam be able to sense something like that, or no?
That's a good idea, he says. And his belt really works. You're like, oh, God. You're like,
Oh, wait,
right
the whole
here.
time.
Jesus!
I have a picture of Adam.
I love that.
That makes me happy. I'll do this. I'll get this on the
I like his flippy do hair.
yeah, he's got little 90s Disney Prince tendrils, info tendrils. Slide your DM into my DM. That's pretty gross. Tara loved that from the other room. I don't know if you heard that. Okay,
Just don't type that in Google.
So I'm going to go ahead and say you guys have kind of the advantage here. They're starting to spread out through the room, and there is only 8 of them. Okay. You can see that there is a orc group leader. Basically, the way they're broken up, it's going to be one big troop, one leader troop, whoever's fought to be in charge of this little contingency, and then it will be its underlings, which is normally a mixture of goblins, hobgoblins, and then you do get the occasional slave or serf. They have like a serf system where people, like, their ships are kind of like common land, and you can work to become kind of part of the blade. They have like this kind of brainwashy system of government. They're just a bunch of fascists. Which is why it's okay to kill them.
Oh,
So-
I see.
What are we doing? We're trying to find a void drive.
Yeah, so if you were looking around, you can start inspecting the ships if you want to.
Well, Adam's using the.
Yeah, oh yeah, you wanted Adam to look out. Adam, he's kind of going to feel around. I'll give him an advantage on that. He says, he points up to the big ship, the one in the middle, like the large size freighter, and he's like, well, I sense one in there for sure. He says,
Anything sportier?
he says, I'd have to look. So if you guys want to move through the space, he can continue to check ships. You can, let's make this into a skill challenge.
Okay.
We'll go around the table. Each of you will investigate a different area. I'll let Adam will be kind of... Here. Okay, cool. Narratively, in 4 rounds, Adam will find something that you need in this space. But in every round, there is a chance that you can encounter an orc. Okay? So we'll go around the table, and that will all count during the same round for the skill challenge. If you guys hit the mark of successes in my head, you can find it and avoid combat.
Okay.
Cool?
Are the orcs split up?
They are in little groups of 2.
Okay.
Who wants to go first?
Don't everyone jump up.
I don't know what I'm looking at. Is this what you mean? Like, I'm just playing along, but I'll do an investigation.
Yeah, he's Adam. No, I'll tell you. Ducard will go with you, and he'll say, "We're gonna basically. You're gonna look for ships," and he points out on the rear vents on the different types of models. He's like, "You'd want this, but it needs to be curved," and you'll see signs that say, "Don't touch." Like he's got like these like little marks that he's like.
Okay.
Go ahead and roll an investigation. Roll with disadvantage because of your unfamiliarity.
I think this is it. 14. Is this one?
It is this right type of like markings.
Yeah.
It's like close but no cigar. So
it's curved.
so you need to look for that, but you need to look at on the other side. So it counts as a success as a marker in my head. And you guys do not encounter any orcs. Okay. All right, Z. Where are
I
you?
would specifically like to be looking for the lead orc.
Okay, cool. Roll a investigation.
18 plus something.
Yeah. So she's like you're like, where's the? And she's like, just go. She just like directs you, and as you run off, you can hear. There's some chittering. What languages do you speak?
Just Dwarvish and Common.
Okay. There's some chittering going on, kind of some yapping and barking, which you assume is goblin.
Mm-hmm.
And then you hear in a very growly common, basically like, get off of that. Like somebody's having to corral their troops from trying to steal right now and pillage.
Mm-hmm.
They're in a grab shiny things kind of mode. And it's very clearly that he's like barking for a hunter-killer kind of mode. Like, and you can kind of sidestep them and come up behind this little 2-person like sky schooner. There's a bright orbit. It's a little small little ship, and you can get in. There's 3 of them. He's got 2 goblins with him either side. And he just has 2 sharp daggers pulled, one in each hand. They're already covered in blood, so these guys have already.
So though I did not go with him, I could still see.
You can see in one of the cameras. You can see him working his way around this little ship, and you can see the orcs and the goblins kind of like moving over.
Right.
And with his relay, you can even speak to him.
Right. And we know specifically about orcs that combat is the way that they advance, and killing other orcs would be how they do like kill to advance.
Are you trying to see if you can affect their social change by interacting with them a certain way?
I am specifically looking to use the spell suggestion, and the question is there a step first, or is this a level of orc that would be next in line to General Thune?
They don't. It's all about outsider, so they can't challenge a superior.
Okay.
Except in times where they have the support of the rest of the tribe. So they have kind of a built-in redundancy, but for the most part, it's he was strongest, and then it's about proving to the horde how strong you are. So you go and you steal a big ship, you bring back a lot of slaves,
Right.
and then you gain promotions in rank. They're very interested in acquiring and adding to the blade.
Okay. And there wouldn't be...
Because if the blade gets big enough, then the general doesn't lose his rank. He just becomes a ruler of a bigger thing. There's just more stuff for everybody
Okay.
to
Well, then maybe...
But as an outsider, you could challenge them by their own rules because you are not part of their blade. Other blades, if you were like a rival orc blade, could steal an entire armada if they wanted to by challenging like the tribal leader.
Okay.
Yeah.
This guy, you can tell is low ranking though. You were trying to figure out.
Yep.
He's out for blood. You can tell that they use not as intense weapons when they're trying to prove their more old
So they're
school
around
ones.
some ships and things?
They are effectively on the other side of a ship, and you're now kind of countering them.
Is there a way to get into that ship?
I don't know. Roll a D100 just to see how lucky you are.
98.
Yeah.
Damn.
There's not only that, but I'd say the keys are left in, but the way this whole floor works is that all the ships have been depowered. They're literally being siphoned for energy.
Right.
So you'd have to disengage the locking mechanism, which is in a control panel on the south side of the room.
Okay.
But yeah, you can pop it open. It pops up in DeLorean style. So on one side, you could slide inside of it without them seeing you if that's your intent.
I'm going to do that right now because my other plan wasn't useful.
Gotcha. Roll me a stealth as you slide in.
Cool. 18.
Perfect. You don't close all the way, so it doesn't click. I'd say that counts as a successful scene in my mind. Adam is still safe. Expecting on the other side. We have 2 more rounds. We'll go to you.
I guess I should be looking for these ships too. Yeah.
Yeah, and the maybe the conversation might turn to Adam saying to you guys that if you were to disengage the locking foils, that their energy signatures would be a lot louder, and he could pinpoint them instantly. If there's any on board, it would also allow the ships to be able to fly, and you can tell that it's also Ducard also messaged that it's also strange that there is Rami, stop. There is it's kind of strange that no one's made their way down here yet. So they probably have built barricades in. There's a very intricate plan happening. This is not just a smash and grab orc function, because they would already have filled this space. They would have already taken all the ships, like the goblins and the hobgoblins want to. So
So is it that each individual ship has its own locking mechanism, or is there one?
There's one mechanism that will disengage this. What you basically have to do is disengage this entire platform from the ship to turn it back on.
Okay. And it's obvious where I need to go to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then I think I will go to there.
You're already there before you even know that you're looking at it. You walk by it, and it's a big panel with about 100 television sets, old tube sets, set on top of each other, and there are different like panels that contain hundreds of cassette decks. Magic stays on magnetic tape much better than it does on paper. That's what they found, and it became the preferred format of storing magic. That's why it's not on like CDs. That's why they've never progressed to like computers straight up. is that everything still works on a pseudo analog kind of setup. So you kind of start looking through all the different places you need, and there's literally a button that's like a play all, and when you hit that button, all the tape decks engage, and the ship kind of lurches. You hear a screeching, and as you look around, and that makes all the orcs in this area look back towards the wall. You look back above you, and you can see that the mechanism that's supposed to disengage to this part of the ship to remove it has been destroyed.
Oh no.
And it can't pull the ships out, but you can, now that you're inside the ship and all the ship that he was just pointing at, you guys can, they all start to like, all their little lights start to light up. All the ships run on like an ambient power supply that at least gives them like the basic like hull integrity, oxygen production, that kind of thing. Yeah, so your ship is powered on. That's successful. I don't think you need to make a roll because you basically have alerted everybody towards your position. And I will give... Cool. As soon as you do that, Adam says, I've got a reading. He says, there are 3 void drives on this ship. He said there's the one, he says he was correct, there's the one in the center tower. He says he's sensing one in a medium-sized ship that's right next to you, and then he says there's one on the northeast corner, which is where you were. Mm-hmm. And you start describing the schematics of the thing you're in, and the ship that you're in has a very small void drive.
Okay, cool.
So. Does size of void drive matter?
They have different charge capacities. Mm-hmm. So the one inside the that's a good question. Adam says, and he says the one inside the ship is going to have the largest capacity, meaning that you've got the most jumps out of it. He says, because they're organic, you can't upgrade them, you have to grow them. He says, I'm supposed to learn how to do this, but he says, this self is unfortunately, as you would put it, an adolescent. He says, I am young. I never would learn the ways of my people. I kind of just, and he kind of points to the spike in his head. You can see that there is a purple kind of fragment in his hair that where the star maps were, and like the schematics for shape change. He says this should have killed me when I did this, but you would risk your life for me, so I'm just gonna risk my life for you. Yeah. And he refers to you as his family, and as his herd. They think of themselves like whales.
Okay.
I like the medium ship next to me.
This is great. Let's deal with the immediate problem.
Okay,
first.
so you are now in the ship.
What's the immediate problem?
Right in front of you. Well, we'll go ahead and cut out our skill challenge because you guys have found the ships. We'll go back to a free-form narrative. You are right in front of you, sitting in the cockpit of this screen. Right in front of you, walking around you, are these this orc and his 2 goblins that are kind of looking around. The orc looks over. And at first he doesn't seem to, and then he double glances and he sees you in the cockpit, and he pulls out his knives and he clicks them and they chrome up like they're neon.
Ship have weapons? Is that something I know immediately?
Roll a investigation.
18.
Yes, there seems to be some sort of module. You're not familiar with it because I don't think you've done a lot of space pirating yet, but you can get the basic gist of.
So timeline question in this pulls the swords. Is it going to be as effective to just melt him with a drop down gun, or spinning the ship around and activating the engines?
They're both fun, and I'll let you choose whatever you like more. But both will effectively kill these. You're in such close proximity.
Right.
You might run the risk of also not run the risk, but you might as well knock them around as you hit them with your ship. So it's up to you.
I'll just shoot them. That's the classic. Pulls the knives.
Sure.
Shoot.
Yeah, pulls it. Yeah, you're like, I don't whack, and you hit it, and it's just like floating. It's almost like a smooth stone. And now you realize that if you grab it, you can kind of move it like a joystick. Okay. It kind of hovers in place. This ship is a small, a 2-person, like sky what I want to call it. It's basically like a personal fighting ship. So this could be docked inside a medium-sized ship.
Perfect.
And unfortunately, Adam has not learned that ability yet.
Right.
Because he still needs to unlock these things inside of him. But so eventually you'll be able to store things inside of him, and then he'll become an extra. He has an extra dimensional pocket that can fold down whenever he transforms back. But not quite yet. You want the engine out of it anyway, so that's kind of the main point of it. And when you do that, the orc dies almost immediately. As soon as that happens, you see in your view it was almost completely goblins and then one human slave. They just split. They just immediately split. Some of the goblins you see kind of go into maybe some of the ships trying to like scrounge, but as soon as the power structure is demolished, they lose all integrity as a unit. And that's kind of symptomatic of how they run things. So much of it is fear that once the peons are unbridled, they tend to just scatter.
Cool.
So
You were useful.
Always. And I'm gonna land the ship when they do that and disengage things and get out.
okay.
Wait, don't we want to take it with us?
Right, but there's one more thing we have to do down there.
What else
The other door is to steerage. Yeah.
There is. She knows she's looking at the computer panel now, and there's an access tunnel in this room. You'll have to climb underneath that big star schooner, and like the big star, like the frigate, and like go down through an access tunnel. It's only meant to be accessed by people when it lands or when it's parked. There is but there is enough space. You'll literally be like crawling. It'll be like in Aliens, where you're like inside like ductwork.
Cool.
Trying to like.
Yeah, and so I'm going to explain the idea that we should let the people out of steerage, and we do have a ship for them to escape on.
Oh yes, of course. The common man, the everyday man.
Okay, cool. So I guess we've decided that we are going to try to save the frozen people.
Yeah, the poor.
The poor people who are just. That's cool. Let's go ahead and everyone roll me a perception or investigation.
Yep.
10.
18.
15.
18. You all hear as the ship is being kind of pushed in the center, and you can kind of feel everything shake. And for a second, all the lights flicker on and off, and you feel yourselves rise up, and then gravity reinstates, and you land back down. Mark II goes, and he's like, oh shit.
What was that?
And you can tell from the bend that that's not good, and that soon the stakes will rise. Soon the ship will probably lose its hull integrity and crack apart, which means that a lot of people will die, and that this space that you're in runs the entire length of the ship, so you guys will potentially be exposed. And that's going to be, in the meta context, 4 scenes. So right now, you're inside a scene that counts as one of these scenes. Once you end the scene, I'll roll it down to the next scene. But as long as you keep... You might solve this problem in this scene. I just rolled randomly to decide how long it would be. That means you kind of, by telling, you can tell that. And then, of course, the overall doom... the more the scenes we roll through, the more orcs will have kind of moved through the ship.
Right.
More people will be dead. XYZ. So you want to head down into the steerage. Do you want to go ahead and just move a scene forward and get right to the place where you need to be? Like cut to you in the access tunnel, where you want to basically jettison the people from the ship. Is that
how they would? I was going to release them and take them up to the freighter.
You can't do that. So what you can do is you can eject the entire disc, the entire thing they're on, and then it has its own SOS system. Okay. It's kind of built like an escape pod, but it takes manual unlocking. So it would take 2 of you to go down and activate 2.
I would be very interested in doing that.
Okay, cool.
I would not be interested in doing that.
Well, then get the ship ready to go.
That's what I was thinking.
Do you know how to fly? Aren't you the pilot?
I know how to pilot.
You know how to pilot?
I pilot.
Okay, so my question is, do we want to cut to the next scene where you will be in the middle of probably having already extracted the void drive and will be starting to figure out with Adam how to install it into him?
Why would we do that? Let's just take the ships and go.
Okay.
Adam's a void ship. Everyone's gonna know what he looks like.
I thought we would steal this. I thought we were stealing the ships.
Just stealing the ships? Okay.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then we'll worry about moving void drives.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so you're gonna get in the ship and get it ready to go.
Yeah.
The only problem with that is that the door doesn't open, so you're gonna have to like blow a hole in the ship.
Right.
The-
In an ideal world, is one of these ships big enough to fit the fighter in?
That's hers is a medium-sized ship, and he said the two-person will fit in a medium-sized ship, so it should be able to take it too.
It's a small ship. 2 people can fit inside of it. It will fit inside a medium-sized ship. Yes, to your point. There is the only way out of this hangar is to slide the way, like to take it out. There wasn't enough of an opening, so you'll have to create one.
Right. Well, and the idea was, could we get the little ship into the medium ship before we blow a big hole in the thing? So
Into Adam?
No.
Into the medium ship.
There's
next
a
to
medium, a large, and a
Okay,
small
okay,
ship.
I got you.
And I think the large is just a big nasty freighter.
So you want to go? So she's gonna go check out the medium-sized ship, see if she can get it online, see if it's online. So,
Right.
Okay, cool. So do you guys want to cut to being in those places, working on those things, or do you want to extend the scene and thus extend your timeline, but increase the chances of something happening?
Let's play it out. I mean, it's up to you guys.
Yeah, I'm fine with increasing. Well,
It's all about how quickly you want to run through it. It's just a disadvantage of basically more obstacles just means it eats up more of your time.
Right.
So you as the player can decide if you want to.
I'm cool to cut.
okay. Let's cut. For
I'd
this
say
one.
narratively, because
Yeah,
you have 4
that's fine.
scenes,
Yeah.
you can probably jump to the next one, and it wouldn't be that big of a
Right.
deal.
Let's do it.
As
Unless
we
you wanna
cut
get
to
the
the next
checker.
scene, we wipe. You are outside of the door with Ducard. Ducard's going to be with you,
Okay.
trying to help you open up the place.
Yeah, no,
And-
I'm like, okay.
Yeah, and so you're going to go with him. It's a really small space. So he's limber and you're just tiny. So you just kind of.
I don't.
So you guys are
I don't think this is-
basically like on either ends of a symmetrical like crawl space, and you had to pretty much pull yourself along with like rails. It's made for like a 0G environment. You guys see an access panel in front of you. You're able to plug your device in. Very easy on-off interface for you. For you, this is old. This is old automator tech. So it requires a keypad like entry code. You can try to run a diagnostic from where you're at to try to find out the matching code, because it would be the same code on either one. So if you want to roll a, do you have? Let's just use Arcana. I think I've decided let's not build new skills. I think it's easier if we just make them
I can
associated.
Arcana. Yes, I Arcana. 11 plus 15, so a lot.
Cool. Yeah, so
26.
you're able to decipher the code, and you tell him how to punch it in, and you're able to successfully get that back. Now you guys need to spin this. We'll decide. We'll resolve your scene. So we're either going to end. You're going to cut, and that means once she agrees to cutting, we'll meet you guys up. Or you'll have to do a skill challenge to get out of this access tunnel. It's basically the whole length of the space you've been in before the thing slides out with you in space. So it's a little bit of a skill challenge there. We'll cut to you, and you can feel the lurch, and they're making their way back. You guys get inside of the cockpit, and you kind of are able to see there is, unfortunately, the keys for the key attunement stones or whatever this ship has. It's a big old freighter made from old military tech, so it's not like bells and whistles, but it's missing its like startup sequence.
Try the big one.
Sequence. Wait, you don't think that's something we could fake?
I don't know. Is it something we can fake?
It is so think of it. It's like a key. Adam looks at you and he says, "Don't worry, my kind always know how to work ships." And he kind of gets into the seat and he's able to read its boot up sequence without having to do any kinds of checks. It's just a thing that they get. I like the idea that Voidwalkers can always turn on ships.
That's cool.
Hotwire.
Yeah. Not even hotwire.
Is the hotwire.
It's not even hotwire. It's just like have you ever seen Mad Max Fury Road?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know how Furiosa has to do her like pumping sequence to get things started. Almost all ships have a booting sequence or a bypass. So the bypass would be the key, and otherwise there's just a sequence of knobs and things you have to do that people can set, and Voidwalkers can just can kind of speak to the ship and know which buttons they need to press to turn it on. And he turns it on. You guys check out the space inside where the ship storage is, and it is filled with old rusty junk. So it's going to take a minute to clear out. Did you guys want to do a skill challenge on your side? And do you want to start working on that? Or do you guys want to cut to the next scene and you guys can just have completed those tasks? Literally be like Star Wipe. Oh wow, we just did that. You have three scenes.
I want to stay and do stuff here.
Yeah, let's do a skill challenge.
Cool. So Ducard, Adam's still kind of getting things like he's priming the drive, getting all the aether into all the circuits. Ducard is going to... What spells do you got, buddy? Anything that can help with this? I made a sheet so I could just say things and then see if they had... That's fun. The card you see takes out his books, starts flipping through, finds a spell, and starts saying the materials for it. He starts grabbing pieces of the scrap metal and starts throwing it. And as he does, each piece lands on another piece, and they start to kind of roll around. And before you know it, half the room has kind of rolled up into a iron elemental, and it kind of like looks over and Terran kind of speaks at Ducard, and he looks at it and he goes, the other metal. Like, he's annoyed with it, and he kind of looks at him like, and just goes back, and it's going to start clearing out. So
very cool. Adam, how long will it take for you to get this ship functional?
He says it's ready to fly whenever you want it to.
Okay.
Let's go back to your skill challenge over here. We'll cut back, because I think that pretty much takes care of that problem.
Right.
I'm going to like as we're like in this crawl space, I'm gonna be like, you need to get back there and help them. You can help more than I can. I'm gonna cast haste on you. So.
Okay. So you cast haste, so you're able to move through, no challenge needed, and you can get back. So you go ahead and make me.
As I'm going by, I'm gonna hand him the space breather thing that I have, just in case.
Just in case.
The life jacket.
Yeah.
Preserver. You never know. Yep. Okay, so
I don't have a lot of faith.
You can roll me in athletics. You can roll me. It's a strength check. You're
It's a
literally
strength
just
check.
pulling your.
It's a 10.
All right. Yeah. So that's fine. Then we'll say that you've made it 1/3 of the way. The ship is still sliding out, but you're able to. You get up to where they are. You can see that they're moving the space. The Mark II is whistling at you guys from like the other end. He's alerting you to a small contingency of hobgoblins that have just moved into this space.
Okay.
And following them, a group of peacekeeper droids, which at this point have been marked to kill anything that isn't in the designated area. This is a restricted area.
Right.
You guys are effectively part of its targeting site. So they've kind of started fighting, so they're not looking for you, but it's happening in the same space that you're in right now. You guys are now back in the same space together.
Right. So you guys are good to go in that ship?
Yeah. You gonna go check and see if you
I'm
know
gonna-
that one can be.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the snub fighter then.
Cool.
Okay, cool. As you get to the fighter, you can see that there are 3 hobgoblins who have, because you didn't close all the thing all the way, they're crawling inside of it, and they're trying to like figure out. And one of them has the targeting stone and has started to. Let's see if they see you. No, they are too distracted by their newfound toy. Remember, hobgoblins are about the size. They're a little bit smaller than humans. They're not as. They're pretty smart.
Okay. And they're inside the ship at this
Yeah,
point?
they're figuring out very quickly how they're going to fly this.
Okay. I'm going to get in the ship, and I'm going to cast slow.
Cool. So you're just gonna push past them?
So I prefer to stealth up on them, and so actually what I'd like to do is a surprise attack on
Okay.
the closest one at some point.
For sure.
Are they wearing metal?
They are.
Okay, so the first one is going to get shocking grasps
Nice.
from behind. Excuse me. And that is a...
Yeah, they fail.
That's over a 22 hit.
Awesome. Yeah, they definitely. You're gonna get...
And so
Well, isn't shocking
shocking grasp is just one. So
Oh,
it's just
you get advantage
reaching
on it
one,
because of the
and I get advantage for metal. And
for metal.
he doesn't.
They don't make it safe. I got you.
Right. And he's going to take 9 points of shocking damage and not be able to take a reaction. And with that, I'm actually going to back up as well.
As soon as you shock him, he's up on like the wing of it, so he's about 3 feet above you.
Mhm.
I mean, right at your chest level, and you grab his leg or shoulder or whatever. And as you do, he just like falls over unconscious.
Great.
But the other two, they immediately like turn around, so you can kind of use the ship and give yourself full cover if you want to.
Yeah, and that's what I'd like. I'm just trying to stay far enough away from them so that
For sure.
I'm
Plus two
engaging
to
on my
AC
turn.
right now.
Oh, cool. That's good to know.
And you also get 2 actions per turn.
Oh. I'm going to shock a second one.
Nice. Yeah. So then you
Also do that surprisingly, or...
I think the speed of you being on one side and they're like, what? And they kind of like scramble over and you're able to just like go to the other side. You're like,
Your speed's better.
over here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're like
Yeah.
you're flashing right now, so it's a little.
Well, great.
Don't you roll 3d20?
I do now.
Do you need another one?
I've been handed one. It's above 20 again.
You can hold on to that.
Thank you.
See me with that now.
And that's a 10 shockity dude.
Okay, that one, same thing.
Okay.
And so the one that's in the cockpit, he's been bouncing back and forth.
Right.
He sees you, and he's gonna pull. He's gonna pull out his slug thrower,
Mhm.
and I'm going to go ahead and use an interrupt. He's gonna shoot at you,
Okay.
but he misses. Just like
Straight up
all
misses.
the way. Hey,
Are we about to break kind of soon?
yeah, we can break soon.
Okay, cool.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
great. I'm just gonna dive in and you can
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah, we'll break pretty soon. So he misses you, and you guys will come back to you. You've got the ship now cleared out, and it's kind of like lumbering forward. What is the plan overall with the ship? Is it to make a big hole with the ship? This ship does not have any guns on it.
Does
Okay.
the little one?
The little one does. So I guess I'm blowing the hole as we just realized that.
The card's like, that will never work. The ship's blasters wouldn't make it through the hole of this Starliner. You're gonna have to think of another way.
What if could I cast knock on the door once I get out of here?
He says unfortunately it's jammed. It's not locked.
Well, and
Okay, I'm not familiar enough with magic weapon to know if it would.
I don't think that.
No.
So as you guys are all kind of this is the conundrum, right? So
Right.
this is a great time to take a break. We can reformulate. As you guys are kind of discussing this thing, you hear screaming, and it's coming from the orc brigade and the autonomous, like the droids that were there, as a lightning, like a chain lightning effect kind of ripples through them. And through the door of this like crater that they've blown in the wall on the north side, you guys see a character dressed in a way that you maybe have never seen before. Something striking about them, and as the audience, as we see them, they kind of walk in through the smoke. And it is a female human, and she is wearing what looks like bands of metal, if metal was light ribbon, and it seems to wrap around her, forming kind of a braided armor. and then from her has almost like a fringe of ribbons that kind of run all the way down, giving her like the effect of a cloak without all the bulkiness of it. And she has this large adorned headpiece. I'm thinking like Kate Blanchett, maybe in my head. Like, and this headpiece, you can see that, and you're still plugged into the camera. You can even like bring it up, and maybe even dramatically, you broadcast it over his hub to everybody so you can see it. But she has this geometric headpiece that is not overly large. It just kind of sits on top, almost like a VR helmet. But there is this large floating gemstone that seems to undulate from different types of colors and move in a very mechanical way, but it's floating. So she has this large like eye. And once you broadcast it, Descartes says, "Oh shit." And he introduces her as Truth Seeker Vel. And the Truth Seekers, once you hear that, your characters all get a sense of dread. You now know that you're looking at some of the High Emissaries. This is a High Emissary of the Myth Corps. The Myth Corps is the shadow organization that owns all the other organizations. It is the supreme power. It's basically, they police IP, they police ideas and thoughts, and they have, Descartes kind of says offhandedly, it calls them God killers, God stealers, and says that, reference their piousness, and at the same time kind of refers to it in a, like, as if it was blasphemy to say that there's something terrible about them. And as she looks around the room, as soon as she looks up around this space, the screen that you're projecting, kind of like looking at the arcane eye, she looks at it directly and she smiles and she says, "I see you." And we'll go ahead and we'll take our break right there. But she clearly has some special abilities that allow her to see things because she's a seeker and she's got this big apparatus on her head.
Some villain-ass bullshit.
And when she says that, she snaps her fingers and 50% of it. Okay, cool. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, I think Lucy will be with us. Stay tuned for more Voidwalker boot sequence. Yibbity yabbity, give me the slappity.
Hey, wait, before you break. Oh, did you already? That's fine.
Well, we're still, the volume's still on. It's still yours.
Well, that's okay. I just would like to introduce a visitor. The mayor himself is here.
Yay!
Yay!
Oh, that's crazy.
He comes very
Cool.
present.
It's a pleasure to see you guys. This is amazing.
Well, no, I really want to break so I can talk like a regular human.
Thanks,
All right,
buddy.
we'll be right back.
Bryce, I rolled your
should film every lunch. No, every other lunch. Only the good lunch.
Yeah, but it's gonna be hard because I don't know how to keep it. I don't know how to keep it like. I don't know how to spice it up because I'm already running out of ideas. You know.
What do you mean you're running? We posted one video. Michael, you've had many different meals. Many different kinds of meals. How do you make your deli meat peanut butter rice cakes? Easy.
You know what I do? I get some deli meat, I slap some cashew butter in that bitch, and plop it in my mouth.
Some people need a visual. They want to see how you do it. I would watch that.
You watch.
Stream the cooking process. It literally only takes like 10 minutes to cook.
We should do some IRL streams. While you're down here.
While I'm down here? How long am I staying?
I don't know.
Forever?
Hopefully not. Sorry, just kidding.
See, if he wasn't streaming, he would have been like, to infinity and beyond. Bitch.
Oh, that guy's so lucky.
To infinity and beyond. But no.
No, he just broke my shit. Oh my god. Wait, where am I? Why am I in the Shadow Realm? Kicked him again, dude. This guy sucks at faking. Kill him.
It's true.
Sharpen that. Kick this guy every single time. I think my teammates keep missing though. Going battle. Oh fuck.
How many times have we cried watching anime? Did you cry when we watched Hunter x Hunter?
No.
You didn't cry?
No.
I bawled my eyes out.
I'm a man, I don't cry.
You definitely have cried watching Naruto.
Naruto, yes. Jiraiya dying was one of the saddest moments of my teenage life. I think we should run at healers more. Spoilers! Listen, dude, if you don't know Jiraiya... Listen, if you haven't caught up at least that far in Shippuden, you deserve to be spoiled. That's OG. That's like saying, dude, Goku goes Super Saiyan? Oh my god, spoiler.
He does? He what? Gasp.
Bum, ba, ba,
to bed.
Oh hi, we back. We just had a
Oh, hi.
we just had a little drop-in visit from the mayor. He came by
Yay!
to see how the citizens of the town were faring, to
Okay.
give us our
Birthdays.
daily dice.
It's a real testament to
Yeah.
the policies and
I feel like
politics. Yeah.
I feel like if we're if we're Captain Planet kids, no.
And he's the
What?
hero. Gonna take pollution.
No,
down
if
to
we're
zero.
Power Rangers, he's the big floating head in the tube.
Zordon?
You know what I'm talking about? That's you, guy. You're the big tube head.
It's you, my dude.
YouTube.
That's you, my dude.
To the big tube head.
So the big tube head.
My dude. Thank
Zoro.
you.
You're thinking of
Zoro.
Slamming the table around.
Sorry. This has arms on it.
Come on,
Sure.
Hulk.
That's a good thing to remember though when we have crashes with the ship. The
Yeah,
Bang
isn't
the
it?
tube.
Yeah, there we go.
No, God.
Gotta fix this camera. Whoa!
Well,
There you are.
Ooh wee.
Whoa! I don't know.
Wah.
Okay, wowie woo wah. All right, so you're kind of, to repaint the scene, you're in this larger kind of junkier transport ship. I'm gonna go ahead and say that MK2 is already, or MK9 has already moved the smaller ship into position. Like he's been free this whole time, so there's no reason he couldn't have run over and.
Wasn't I like engaged with a goblin on that ship?
Oh, you were on that ship, weren't you? As soon as as soon as those screams happened, that hobgoblin, he bounced like you weren't even there because he knew what was coming. Because they've been all you might infer something from that. He knew to stay out of her way, and he scooted underneath another ship. So he's still in the room. He's just out of sight. He's hiding. So you may not want to
Out of
forget
sight.
where he
Okay.
was. We'll just make that you make that. Oh, I remember where he is now.
Okay.
He's by that guy over there. He's by that ship.
I see you, Gabs.
That purple
I see you, guy.
schooner. I'm saying schooner a lot tonight. I don't know the names of ships at all.
Schooners.
Schooners.
Schooners
They're all
all the way
schooners.
around.
Definitely
Schooners.
Schooner.
They're all
Schooners.
lunar schooners. They go around the moon.
No.
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 Get
lose.
out.
I have to make
Get out of your
No.
a
stream.
con save.
Mm-mm.
All right.
No.
So yeah, you guys are all kind of. That's fine. Yeah, you're over there with the ship. So do you want to get in the ship and
Yeah,
so you start moving it over, and as you do, she's going to roll an initiative to try to affect you because all of a sudden you've moved the ship up above the other ships and you're kind of flying it towards, and she's walking in the doorway, and it would basically be the first thing she'd see, unless you want to retcon and say your character might have thought about that. Knowing that she was in the room, you did have the knowledge.
Yeah,
that she
I
was
wouldn't
coming.
have necessarily taken off.
Yeah,
immediately.
so that might be a.
Yes. No. Once the goblin left, honestly, I'm just kind of there.
Okay, cool.
I see you, Gabs.
Are you getting in the position so you can fly
Yes.
when there's an opportunity? Okay, yeah, cool. So we'll get you all strapped in. You've got the this one had its bypass, so it was ready to fly.
Right.
You don't need the boot sequence, and we'll just say that you've got the engine running and you're ready to get it to move with the void drive in it. Picard is going to message you while you're all of you, and he's going to if he's not in the room with you. He's going to say that you're going to need to blow a hole in the hull, which is hard to say.
Blow a hole
Blow
in
a
the
hole
hole.
in the hull.
And
Blow a
he
hole in the
says-
hole. Blow a hole in the hole.
But blow a hole in the hole and you get a blow a hole in the hole.
He says that two ways that he can think of off the top of his head. Activating the void drive inside the ship would be very dangerous, but would also rip a hole in it. Could potentially kill anyone who's left behind.
Oh dear.
He also has a scroll of arcane gate. It's an ancient scroll. The magic items in Voidwalker, the old items, have spell failure chances and can be very dangerous to use. So there is a chance that using I think the arcane gate is a 8th level spell, 6th level spell. It's a high level spell.
Yeah,
It's
seems-
above 4th level spell, which is pretty much my cutoff of level of like maximum.
Yeah.
Above 4th level and above, pretty much those are all lots of magic in that spell. So he's reluctant to use it lest he have to be a martyr in this scene
Right.
and die and not give a chance to help you guys hone your craft and skill. I'm going to go ahead and say I'll let you, as the players, have the narrative choice whether you want your Gandalf, Obi-Wan character, your Qui-Gon Jinn to die dramatically and grow from that experience, or if you want to choose to have a world where you get to keep these characters with you, because I don't think it's fair to just always kill every NPC that comes along the way. You can have a band of NPCs.
Oh, so put it on us? What are we, executionists?
Well, I'll say this.
I'm down for it.
I'll say this: if you have freed the ship below you, so you freed all the Poe people. They are floating out in space, and as long as no one goes after them, they're okay right now. Now, your concern, if you were the type of person who cares about the rest of these people on here, your concern would be trying to, open up a way into this space and out of this space. So an arcane gate would be great. It would be really useful for you, but there's maybe an alternative way that you can use that to get people in and out of this area for the ships. You could be pretty clever. You can make it pretty big. It'd be big enough for a medium-sized ship or multiple small-sized ships to fly through at one point. It's a high-level spell. If you use that, it will probably kill him if he has to maintain the spell for longer than a handful of rounds. He's prepared to do that because he thinks that you guys have what it takes to take your book, figure out on Realm. You know that it would be on the old planet. That's the only thing you know about the tomb, is that it has to be on the first planet. So it's on Realm somewhere.
Okay.
Probably deep,
Super deep.
Explain to me how he would die.
So the scroll that he has is I don't know what's happening right
So she's trying to figure out if she can use Revivify on him to bring him back. Just to thwart your plans.
now. It would consume his life force to maintain the spell for more than a few rounds, and once he uses the spell scroll, it will burn up. So this is because of the nature. So like one-time consumable spell scrolls, those one-time use objects are much more dangerous in the Voidwalker setting because of how ancient they are and how magic has become kind of unwieldy and untethered in the advent of like all the stuff you guys haven't learned about yet. So
Good job. Thanks, Uncle Nathan.
hey, Ladybird, look at the camera. Be cute for the camera.
Hey, Ladybird. Hi.
Hey, that's pretty cute though.
Hi, sweetie. Hi, Bird.
I think we're gonna have to
Thank you.
have a vote and see who gets to stay, old Nathan or Ladybird, for the character of Z.
This is Fred.
Oh, hi, Fred.
Anytime.
Okay. So, what were we talking about?
Space weasels.
Space beetles? Beetles?
Weasels.
I don't think that's true.
Bugles.
Weren't we deciding whether
Killing
or not
the guy.
to kill our mentor?
Yeah.
Well, I think you're deciding a course of action because you're alternatively you can use the arcane gate in some clever way. The more clever it is, the less he has to use it. The more he could use it and not die. I'm not going to say using it will kill him. Alternatively, you can think of another plan,
Right.
and you can save him.
Yeah.
So it's not so much like you're choosing to kill him. You can be clever enough to save him.
I mean, if we can't hack a door open or something, I'm kind
Wasn't
of
the
at a
option
loss.
flying a medium-sized ship through the wall to open the door? That was the original thing that someone was thinking we were doing?
I don't know if you made any rolls to know if that would work or not, but I think it's a valid plan. I think you could do that. I think that it's kind of falls in line with the activating the void drive. This ship has a drive on it too, so if you were to fly either of these ships at one of the walls and activate the drive, it's going to explode the wall most certainly.
So
Isn't that gonna kill all those people you just saved?
no, they're good.
Okay, cool.
This is the corporate stools.
I mean, I don't
and,
care,
And this,
but-
this the explosion would be big enough to cause a large size hole. I mean, it would definitely deal damage, but where you're at in the ship, you're not by people. I mean, this is down. You're on effectively at the bottom half of this giant like frigate that's made. All the people are up on the top, and they're all on this side. So even if it was a fairly massive explosion, it's not going to take out the whole ship. Enough. I mean, this is Descartes. I mean, he's basically saying it should be enough where where the ships could be accessed. It should blow a hole in the hull, which is very big and thick. So it is a big blast, but relatively speaking.
Good to know. Thank you. We should probably deal with this first, unless we're just gonna open a door.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like you can just ignore her and open the arcane thing, or you can deal with her and try to, because I don't know.
Aren't you still in a tunnel?
Yeah.
Yeah, you made it. You made it back. You're fine.
Oh, okay.
I'm not here.
Yeah, you
am I?
are. You've been here the whole time.
Oh. Oh.
We're all here.
Okay.
We all reassemble. Team up.
Yeah, you guys.
Reassemble.
So she's looking at the camera and she's walking. Remember, I described this space as almost still like a because of all the ships and their Tetrisy angles. It is like a dungeon. It is like a labyrinth. You're kind of having to walk through these spaces. You're still connected to the cameras, so you can kind of relay positioning. She's looking at the camera feed directly, and she's walking towards the camera feed. So she can tell that someone's looking at her through the camera feed. She can see the arcane
Me?
eye. No.
Oh.
You're just with them.
Okay.
You
just said she, and I was.
sorry.
No.
Truth Seeker Vel.
Okay.
She's a cleric
I'm with you.
of. She's an archon, is what I've called her. She's the archon of the third ring. Whatever the fuck that means.
I like Argon.
Right, sounds cool to me.
You know that you would know specifically with your knowledge of this setting, your character's knowledge, that this is one of the kind of the high and mighty religious high ups of the myth core. These are the people that help build the propaganda and kind of like sell the image that they sell.
Okay.
And specifically, truth seekers have an uncanny ability to see through magics, see to the heart of things.
Mhm.
They are rumored to be able to see lies. So they're
Quite insightful.
yeah. So they're kind of like the hound dogs of this organization. And we're all kind of, your character has been here for this, but we've learned that the book that Chester has is more than just a magic tome. It maybe belonged to a Merlin type wizard a millennia ago, and that it is a key to finding an ancient tomb that might unlock the secrets of ancient magic, restoring magic to kind of its former glory,
Okay.
and being one way to kind of fix the current status quo. At least according to these new NPCs we've met. A guy who looks like Liam Neeson and a robot. I don't know where I put the robot picture. This guy.
Robot.
His name's Mark
and
9.
Liam Neeson. His name's what?
Mark 9.
Mark 9. Cool.
And I was like, oh, hi, Mark.
Oh,
Hi,
hi, Mark.
Good doggy.
Good doggy.
And we also
Mark.
found out that this guy has got some sort of timeline sickness, and now he rolls 3 d20s when he does advantage and disadvantage. Because he's starting to see alternate timelines as he kind of like sees them woven into his reality. When you see this Archon of the third ring, something in you clicks, like connects for you, and like quite literally clicks for you. Like your enhancements start to kind of shift. Remember, they're Voidwalker. They have Voidwalker integrated into them now. Technologies, like they're kind of malleable, and all your pieces can become like machinery, like straight up like pistons. But then it can also shift into different forms, and you kind of feel a looseness
Okay.
in you feel your extremities feel more alive than they have before. you feel just as human in your robot parts as you do in your human parts, if not more so. Kind of like that you've been chasing this feeling, and for the first time, you didn't know it, and now for the first time you're tasting this like new kind of ownership of your cybernetics. And you feel a compulsion, you feel a calling to use this newfound fluidity, this newfound sense of self, and to further it by smashing the ever-living fuck out of Truth Seeker Vel's face.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And you feel a voice, feel it inside of you. It's not a, you know, this is one of those moments where something's speaking to you in your heart, but nothing's speaking to you in your head. You're not like crazy, or you're not actually being, but you know that this thing this person is responsible for enslaving something beautiful, as you define beauty.
So, can I follow that impulse then?
Yeah, go for it. Roll an initiative.
Just get out of the boat.
Heck yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Alright.
I'm not that attached to you.
So
guys.
Adam is sitting there. Adam's flying. Adam's in the seat, and Descartes kind of standing behind him. And you see this, and you run over to the wall. Like you push past Adam, and there's a lever, and you pull on it, and the hatch kind of like opens, like a little like cockpit, like easy access, fire access, and you just like leap out, and they're like, "What are you like?"
Wait.
And the car kind of looks at the Voidwalker and shakes his head, and he's gonna close it. And you can, what did you roll?
13.
Perfect, because she rolled super low. She's too busy still kind of tracing the camera at you, and you kind of pop, and before she can readjust her sight lines, what do you do?
That's a good question.
Didn't have a plan.
No, I didn't have a plan. I was just running
Functioning
in.
on emotion.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have? I don't remember how to magic weapon. Does it take a whole turn to turn my hand cannon?
You can, let's just make a rule as a bonus action. You can switch between. Well, no, it's a free action. You can as you're moving, you can choose to switch between your. The same way if you were drawing a weapon, it's the same kind of mechanics. So,
Okay.
like as part of your movement, it's implied that you're also transforming your arm into a gun or back into a cudgel of some sort. Or
That feels appropriate.
you
to me.
also notice now that you can alter the damage type, effectively making it a blade. So you can do slashing as well as bludgeoning, depending on the type of weapon, the thing you're fighting. It might be useful. Turn your hand into a knife. T-1000 style, like fucking Terminator. Cool. Yeah.
I'm gonna take you really literally. You said smashing your face in, so I'm going to
As you should.
attempt here to magic weapon my robot fist.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right. Do it. You do it.
I know, Raimi. It's all so exciting.
Nathan, do I?
Okay, you're ready.
Roll that beautiful fat die.
So now your weapon gets a +1 to your roll.
Yeah.
So what'd you roll to attack? D20. You add the
5.
Those
6.
are-
you're using.
So what kind of weapon?
20.
You turn it into the cannon
No.
or into the hammer?
This is just my robot fist, and I'm
Cool.
bludgeoning with it.
Nice.
Your dice look like a light show.
So as this energy, this like almost holy energy pulses through you, that's changing your hand. Like you're able to manipulate your body with just your will is what you're learning. This is like these are new things for you as you use them, and your hand quite literally like turns into a very like crude like hammer. You know what I mean? And what did you roll?
20.
1. You added 1, so you add that, but you cast magic weapon on.
Oh,
it,
so
you
it's
add
21. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you kind of run up right behind her. She doesn't expect you to come, and you're just like pop, 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 and she's about to turn around, and you hit her. Go ahead, do your damage.
D6s.
As you hit her, cracking through a invisible barrier that you can only see.
You
It
add
only
three
reveals
and you
itself.
add 1 to it.
Thank you. So 6.
Plus, no, that's a 2. Sorry.
That's it. 2 plus.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
6.
The shine got me in the eye.
Math.
6 damage.
Yeah.
Cool.
Unless
You
want to
you
combine
crack through her
I
this
can-
like invisible force field, and it shatters for a second. You smack her in the
Sweet.
face, and you hit that large like on the backswing, that large like geode that's kind of floating. And as you hit her, she's bleeding like immediately. So she's not like super invulnerable to damage if you hit her. She's like a mortal person, but she's smiling. And her real eyes are obscured. You can see closely now that her actual eyes have a band that's like part of the headdress. You can probably guess that she never gets to take this thing off her head, and she hasn't used her real eyes in a long time. And she's looking forward to attacking you, and she's going to interrupt and take her turn. And she kind of whips around, and as she does, all these ribbons that are like lighter than air metal kind of become rigid, and she's just going to spin. And as she spins, make a dex save. As you try to avoid
Not
this.
20.
Yeah.
Alright, roll a d. I'll tell you. I'll let you spend a hero point to roll a d4
Okay.
to see if you roll even on that d4.
That's not a
Oh,
D4.
sorry. No, it's a 1.
All right, you'll still take half damage.
I think when y'all tell me numbers of what the dice is, I don't actually
No.
do anything with that. I just pick one up.
Seems accurate for how you play.
Lucy Vane's
You're gonna take
outfit of the day.
16 slashing damage.
Outfit of the day.
That's cool.
I like to think your character is just changing as we're doing this.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we've been through
Yeah.
a day yet.
I don't.
Well, what were we doing when we got
She
here?
needs like
Weren't we in like a
we just need.
we
Didn't have. No, we just landed here.
Oh.
Like shit's. You haven't had 0 downtime. What we need
okay,
to.
then never mind.
No,
I
what we
have
need
not
to
in
rule
my-
is that you're always wearing your like Wetworks ninja suit.
Great,
And that
I'll
you
find that for you.
and that you have a bangle that is a hologram projector that allows you to cast like alter self.
It's just
Yeah. So or disguise self.
yeah.
So it just allows you to like change
just
the
pick from
clothing.
my wardrobe whatever is
and
most
so
appropriate.
she
for the
literally
moment.
is like before combat, just like
I
Thank you
love
for
that as a
giving me
character.
that.
yeah, that's perfectly fine. Also,
In
you
that
should
case,
know.
I'm in this.
Also, your character, we didn't talk about it because you weren't here, but your character learned from. You're listening?
My character learned.
Okay. I'm listening to listen.
I mean, yes.
Thank you. Your character learned from this not a Jedi, Master Descartes that
Templar, right?
that
Sorry.
Yeah.
the hit that was put out by the Templar in an effort to suppress him learning anything about the book. But he has convinced the Inner
The
Council.
Templar.
Yeah, he's convinced. Basically, he agreed to step down and take responsibility. He has paid.
He did?
No, Master Descartes
Sorry.
has paid off the bounty, so the bounty is clean. So no longer do you have to worry about her killing. The money that you are going to get is waiting for you on Realm. That you were.
Great.
Yeah, so he's canceled the contract and has paid the debt.
Okay.
Great, you can stop trying to kill me now.
Yes.
I haven't been trying to kill
so,
you. If
yeah,
I were trying to kill you, you'd be dead.
She has a point.
Focus.
You know that.
I was
and
trying to kill you. I
That-
haven't
You
actively
haven't.
been.
You haven't said you're sorry either yet.
that was the big thing that he lets you know. So yeah, so we probably do need to focus.
Cool.
So she spins, she attacks. She is then going.
So she attacks. Back to the smashing.
Yeah. Yeah, Tango might need our help back there.
Oh.
Seems like an interesting discussion.
How many hit points you got?
43.
Ooh.
Well, not anymore because of the
Uh-oh.
16.
Uh-oh.
He gave me 16 slashing damage.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So what do you have currently?
30.
Okay.
I don't know.
Number?
Yeah.
Number
No,
less
wait,
43.
No.
Give me a second.
I don't
Use the new math.
Try.
So you've got 7 bananas.
carry the Y.
27.
Divide
Is
by
that
7.
right? That seems
I
right.
before
27.
E.
Pi
3.324.
hit points.
27.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, you hit her, and she smiles, and she spins around, and you kind of like step back, taking that slashing damage, and she just like opens her hand, and like just calls you a fool, and is going to cast Divine Word. Make me a charisma saving throw, please.
Oh, girl, that's
Roll
not
a
gonna be good.
D20.
Oh, girl!
Oh, yeah, that's not good.
No.
You got
Do
no
it. You got
charismas.
it.
14.
You
That
did
could
it.
have been worse.
Yeah, could've
That
been
really
worse.
could have been worse.
I have been rolling well tonight.
She says fool, and before she can finish the word, you can't hear anything. Or see anything. Or move. You are completely frozen, stunned, aware in your consciousness that you can still feel things, but you can't hear anything. There's a ringing, and it's dark, and this will last for an hour.
Oh my god!
Superstar.
You can have a hero point for such a
Taking it
horrible
all.
thing
Wow.
happening to you. But this is to
hour.
illustrate two things that my villains don't scale. So as we get now, this is the last session before I kind of hand the game off to you guys, and you guys will start like a little more control of things. So this is nothing scales. People are scary. This person's scary. This person, you can beat them. You could definitely kill them tonight, but it'd be very hard. And I'll be no problem telling you that when that happens, when your characters would know that. But this is a moment where the feed gets cut off. You can know.
Ooh.
No, you can still see the room via your direct link to the cameras. So you
So I
can't
can't see
see
through
out of
my
your
eyes,
eyes.
but
You
I-
can't
okay.
hear anything at all, but you can still see the room, but you can't
How
move.
weird.
You're like frozen like a statue, like seed stuck.
Oh, like you were in like a weird coma or something.
Mm-hmm. So
Like you're aware but can't
that's horrible.
do anything.
So that's her turn.
Sounds awful.
I'll let you pass the turn to someone else.
Buddy, you wanna
All right.
fearless leader?
Oh, did I just get elected?
Uh-huh.
Well, that's acceptable. Then I'm going to do something heroic. No, I'm going to leave.
I shouldn't be
That
here.
being said, guns on ship, like big pew pews or just little?
Guns on.
I'm on the little starfighter
little ship.
thing.
Melt a person, no problem. If you were taking it up against another ship, this is the kind of ship that you would have to use like precision targeting with. It is not a super powerful little ship. It's nice that it's equipped. It's actually,
Cool.
I mean,
But like a humanoid, we're doing okay.
yeah, you shoot humanoid if it's gonna be pretty good. Yeah.
I'm gonna take off and I'm gonna shoot at the lady.
Okay.
Pew, pew.
You can use your
Skill.
you can use your
Never done this.
Your weapon.
I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to think how I want to open it up. I think what I'll do for the ships, for both flying and for weapons, you can use intelligence or dex,
Okay.
and that way you can be a pilot and a fighter who's more like quick on the hand, or someone who's using their knowledge of the situation and kind of being like an intuitive. Like you could argue on like a bigger ship, you could have the captain making the fly checks
Right.
with his charisma. You know what I mean? And even because he's motivating everyone on the
Yeah.
ship to make that big ship do those things. So
That feels totally appropriate.
so I think that's how we'll rule the structure there
Okay.
on the ships and on guns as well. So maybe not. Maybe even like in that scenario, charisma would work. But yeah, you
Okay.
can. So you can use intelligence if you want to for those things.
I think I'm gonna use Dex just because this is more of a reflex.
Yeah, for sure.
snapshot.
So you pull you raise the ship up above sight lines, I assume.
Right.
She's expended a lot of her movement, so she can't do anything about it. She can just turn around to see you and go ahead and make your attack.
Cool.
Just like pop up the ship up above the sight line of all these.
Okay, and I will be using
I was just looking at
a
you.
luck point. So looking at multiple timelines. I take the timeline that has the most probability of hitting, and that's going to be a 17, just flat Dex, right?
Dex, yes.
Okay, yeah. So 17 to hit.
Unless you can add your proficiency if you're proficient with flying vehicles. That would be
Okay.
or with I guess we'll have a proficient with like ship weapons. would be
Okay.
one.
Yeah, I'm
Let's-
proficient with water vehicles through the background.
Then let's
which
go
I
ahead.
never
I'll go ahead and let you pick one of those. You can either
Yeah,
be
I wanna
proficient
be
with
space things.
with
no.
you're going to be flying or specifically artillery.
Shooty bits.
Uh-huh.
I'd rather be flying. So
Okay,
we'll do a flat.
17, you said.
Yes.
Yeah, she. You have her dead to rights, but she's just. There's something about the area around her that seems to kind of warp space and time. She's got some sort of magical barrier, and it just kind of splashes off of it.
And that wasn't something she cast as a reaction.
No, it's just a cool way of maybe describing
Yep.
how you missed her.
Cool.
Can you do anything else, or do you want to pass the turn?
I'll pass the turn to Chester.
Yes. I'm going to give me just a minute, and I'm going to try and cast magic circle, and I'm going to try and hold her in place.
On her?
Yeah. So I need you guys to protect me.
That may not work because she is a human. Doesn't magic circle have to be on specific outsiders?
Yeah.
But you do have that lore goodness going, so I might allow you to spend some. Hero points or a spell slot to change that. Magic circle. Elementals, phase, fiends, undead. Yeah, she doesn't do any of those. If you want to alter the.
Water main just broke at the museum.
Oh no.
It's okay so far, but sorry for being distracted.
No, you're fine. You're good. You're fine. Okay. You want to spend what level is Magic Circle? Magic Circle
Third level.
Third level. Do you have 4th level spells?
I don't.
You want to spend? You got 2 hero points.
Yeah.
All right, give me 2 hero points, and I'll let you change the creature type to human this time.
Cool. Yeah.
It may not work again, but
That's fine. Yeah. I like that. I like that kind of a thing for this. That I
Yeah,
can
for
maybe
sure.
do it sometimes.
It also has a casting time of a minute.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I literally had like.
Yeah, so you're starting. Oh, that's fun. Okay, cool. So right now his plan is to if you guys can entertain her for 10 rounds. I'll tell you what. Since we're switching it up. Roll me a d10, and we'll determine how many rounds this spell you actually need to before it will be cast. There's a chance it will be less. 9. Okay, cool. So 9 rounds instead of 10. Yeah.
Nice.
All right. We will start that timer. I'll start it right here. You want to go ahead and pass the turn? Because that's going to take your whole turn.
For sure. I'm
So you're literally just like, it's a, how big of a circle?
It's 10 foot.
10-foot radius?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're just like starting to run around her and you're trying to corral her.
Yeah.
This is awesome. If this works, I'll applaud you. This is very dangerous.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay, cool. So yeah, we'll go ahead and call this. We're starting round. We'll call this round 8. And who do you want to pass?
You're the one who's the fast shooty one. Do the shooty bits. I don't know what he's doing. Do the shooty
Shoot
bits.
the shooty bit.
She
Do
gives,
something.
she gives a really long
Just
eye
really
roll. as she
Remember,
pulls
yeah,
out.
remember. She's like
Yeah.
frozen, and you're like running around, like around, and she's just like, as this is happening, she's kind of just just reacting to all of you.
Can I get to her without, like, hurting him?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
He's 10 feet away from her.
Can I get really close to her and not be affected by...
It's gonna take
8
rounds, 8 more rounds for that to happen.
For that time? Okay, okay. Then I want to go right up to her and just,
Punch her.
punch
up.
her.
Okay,
Yeah, I want
cool.
to punch her up with my...
How many times?
I'm gonna do...
Why don't you do your action, your full action, and then we can decide if you want to do bonus action.
Okay, my action is... I'm going right for the gut. I'm getting in real close, and I'm punching her, like, 5-6 times right there in the core
That's
of the
better than
body. Yeah, like,
No, you're punching her. You're punching her 2 times.
2 times. The first one... 16.
That does not hit.
Damn.
Go ahead and do the second one.
22.
That hits.
Cool. And I do 1d6
Sure do.
plus 4. 8 damage.
All right, and then you're gonna take 2 slashing damage as you punch her. The fabric on her armor, that is her armor, is razor sharp
Oh.
and causes your hands to get all sliced up.
In that case...
Do you want to bonus action and take 1 more attack, or do you want to spend a key point bonus action take 2 attacks?
Key point.
Okay.
To do a flurry of blows.
Okay.
And do 2 more attacks. This time, I'm going to kick with my foot.
Okay.
So that I don't get my hand sliced up. Shit. 11.
You miss.
Sweet. 23 to hit on the last one.
Yeah, you hit.
Okay.
Stunning strike.
I need another... Oh, can I just spend more key points?
Yeah.
Oh.
Through that shit.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Then I'll do one more, and this time she has to do
help
a
her out.
con
She's never played
save.
one before. Sure. You're gonna take 2 slicing damage or slashing damage.
Slicing.
Slicing
Slicey damage.
Slices and dices, and then she has to make a what save? I'm sorry.
A con save.
Oh, what's your key save?
13.
Um,
What's that
What-
supposed to be based on?
Your wisdom.
it's 8 plus your proficiency plus your wisdom modifier.
Okay, 14.
Well, yeah, she fails. So
Sweet.
she's stunned until the start of your next turn.
Uh-huh.
Awesome. Okay, well there you go.
Yes.
That's something.
And she also takes... Here's her damage for that last hit. Whoops.
Nice.
5... 9 more damage. Good call. Sweet, so I can just run through those key points as many times as I want.
Yeah. And as long as you
There's
have
no limit, like, per turn.
No.
I can just say I'm
No,
going to also do this.
They specifically say if they want you to do something once per turn, it will say
Okay.
it will tell you the limitation.
Cool! Gun monks are awesome!
All right,
That was
cool.
just my fist.
So you punch her up,
And I kick her up.
and she is stunned, seized up. Who do you want to pass the turn to?
You can't do anything. I'll go back to you. Z.
I feel like you can probably still speak. No, stunned, still speak.
Probably not. Usually.
Because if
can't
I
do
could
anything.
speak, I could like cast spells and shit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The problem is you have to see it.
that's a great question, is what it sounds like. It's coming down out there.
Let's just say no. Okay. Who's next? I'm
What
sorry.
can you... I was trying to pass it to him, but can you do anything?
Hey, can she hear while she's stunned?
She can hear though. No, she's deaf. She is deaf,
She's deaf.
blind, and stunned.
Okay,
right now.
that's okay.
Wow.
That's awful.
If she had any less life, she would be dead right now.
Oh
That's how
no.
divine word works.
Wow.
Oh, you yes. I thought.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Stun can
The
speak, says Mayor Robin Bowen.
Okay.
Where am
According
I?
to rules somewhere, I'm sure. I can
What's her
trust.
name? Vel.
Mhm.
Sorry, I was asking.
Sorry.
So, she looks stunned.
Yeah,
In
she's
a
like,
stunned condition. You're understood to not be able to hear or to be able to hear.
no, you can hear, you
Cool.
can speak, is what Robin just ruled. She specifically cannot hear or speak because she also has blind and deafened as well as stunned. That's why all three of those things are happening.
I
You have,
see.
you have three conditions, not just one.
Wow.
Lovely.
Okay.
Sure. She has one condition. She is stunned.
Cool.
Cool.
You know, I'm just gonna shoot her this round again with the boat.
You get advantage because she is
Yeah.
she's all stuck in place.
And this is much less of a reflex shot, so I'll be using intelligence.
She all froze.
Did she roll 3?
I do roll 3.
Yeah.
I'm so damn.
Do you want an inspiration?
No, I'm using my
Your
last future dupe.
Your luck.
Come on, go in the damn box.
Now on the tray, not okay?
Ha. 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 Alright, and then, because I don't like that future either, I'm going to try the future with 14. And so Fred is going to scurry out on the panel and flick my wrist. And will a 19 hit?
Yes.
Sweet.
Yes. 19 hits. Yes. 19 hits.
Okay, what damage does the big ship gun do?
Let's call this gun, because they're abstract whenever we shoot at ships. Let's
Yeah.
call this gun, it just does like an arcane turret, just like pulls in arcana from the ship's drive. It does 8D, no, that's too many, D4. That's ridiculous. Let's do 4D8.
48.
Holy shit.
48. Thank you, sir.
Oh yeah. Roll it.
Pew!
Pewsies.
It's gonna do 18. Yeah, 18 pew pews.
So Daisy gets some damage.
Boobies.
Nice.
Nice.
Cool.
Nice.
And that knocks her. I'm gonna say that roll that knocks her prone. Just the sheer force of the blast. All right. Who do you want to go next? Remember that Adam can still go. Remember that you can pass it to Ducard as well, and Mark
Yeah,
too.
I'm gonna pass it to Mark 2 or 9.
Cool.
whichever one
Oh,
it
yeah,
is.
Mark 9. That's his name.
Mark.
9. Mark 9. He beeps at you, beep borp, and he rolls forward on his little wheel legs and is going to. His hands are like pistons, like and he's going to run up and just like punch. He's got Tavern Brawler and Grappler.
Dope.
He's just a big fucking fist fighting robot.
I love it.
That does insane damage. It does 2d12 plus 6 for each hit. He gets a plus 8 to his hits. He runs up and he punches her once. He hits her. He gets advantage because she's on the ground. He misses on that one. He's a little too rough.
A little touche, if you ask me.
Touche. Let's see. It's 2d12. 11 plus 1, 12 plus 6. 18 bludgeoning damage. Boom! Just punching. Cheap, short, beep, beep. He loves it. He loves punching people. It's all about it. You missed the other attack. Grappler. Does it give him a bonus action? To
I think
grapple?
it just means on a successful attack you can choose to grapple.
Grapple you when you have them, you have advantage on hitting them.
That's what it is.
Tavern Brawler gives you, if you punch him, you get to make a grapple check as a bonus
Yeah.
action. Okay, he has that. So he's going to make a strength check, and he's going to auto succeed because she's still stunned. So he's going to grapple her, so she doesn't have the speed anymore. So he's got her. He hasn't pinned her yet because that's what he can do with his grappler feat. He gets advantage on that.
Right. And then he and her are both
Restrained. Yeah. Then she can't like cast spells and stuff. So he's going to pin her down, and he is going to pass the turn to his boss, and. Ducard is going to come up behind you, and he starts summoning for this lattice made of magic, and he puts it over your head and pulls it around your neck, and when it does, you die. Kills you. It pushes off this magic that's kind of suppressing you down,
Oh,
and
thank goodness.
makes you immune to the effect for 24 hours.
Ooh.
So. And you regain your sense of self, and you can tell that now looking at him, maybe you have a bit of disdain for it because it's one of the things you hate about humans, but he looks really tired, as if this is taking a lot of energy out of him to cast all this magic. It's not quite the same thing as it is for you guys, where it's a little easier. You can see that there's some wear and tear on him, and he's going to pass the turn to you.
And what's her bucket is.
She's still unconscious and like sort of being cradled by a
How long have you been
robot.
here, man?
So,
Oh, just a second. You're great, dude. Alright.
Bye, dude.
Oh, what a
No.
He left and he came back. In the rain, no doubt.
Scholar and a gentleman.
Oh my
The
god.
rain. This is the most interactive
Fucking
stream
ready now.
ever.
It really is.
It's crazy. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Hit the door
Oh,
cam.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What a nice
Literally said you
person.
can't have Chester get the door, and I was like, oh crap, how long has he been standing? Me not paying
What a
attention.
nice person.
Nice dude. Okay, so he's gonna pass the turn to you, and you have you're regained your sense of self. She is pinned on the ground in front of you. You still decently feel the urge to smash her head in. I will say that I didn't make you roll anything, and normally if I'm telling you feel compelled to do something and I want you to do it, you get a save. So you have enough autonomy to be like, okay, I feel that feeling, but it's up to you. I was gonna say if you're like, well, my character, I'd rather do this. You don't have to, but yeah, if you want to keep punching her head in.
I do want to keep punching her head in. In much the same way I did last time.
You'll have advantage, so 2 dice.
Merci.
Blue clues. Yeah, well done. You've avoided the bad things.
4. Well,
Plus 6.
yeah. So 10.
7.
No.
11.
Magic
So-
weapon.
No.
Right.
12.
No.
13.
No.
17.
No.
It does not eat.
It does not hit.
30.
Anything else?
If it didn't.
Anything else?
Cool. Let's see. Then it's your turn to pass. Pass the initiative.
Like 20 seconds.
All right. That's your.
But you have to get out of the circle once I'm almost done. You can't.
Can do.
You can't stay in there.
Thank you for describing
We're
the
at 7.
details of your spell.
That's all right.
She's going to spend her interrupt, and no, it's until your next turn, so she doesn't get to go.
She can't do
So
anything.
you guys can really milk this. That's really nice. Who do you want to pass the turn
I've
to?
been better at punching.
I guess maybe him before.
See? Yeah.
Sure.
I think I've went this round.
That's okay.
Adam?
You have gone this round.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
then-
Adam?
Has Adam gone yet?
Adam has not gone this round. Adam is.
Adam, do something!
Adam's got a headphone on, and he's like, ram the ship into the wall? What?
What?
And you guys
What?
see that? You see that big ship?
that-
Oh,
Kinda-
no!
Only
It's kind of
twice?
flying above you guys.
I didn't tell him to do this!
And he gets right above the kind of the where the battle is, and he opens these under hangar bay doors. So there's an opening into the ship, and you can see him like he comes to the side and he's like yelling at you guys, but you can't hear him because of the ship and stuff. That's great.
Nice.
So he thinks that helps, and that's what he does. Because you didn't tell him to do anything otherwise.
Okay. That's fair.
And he is going to pass the turn to you, and then that will be the start of your turn.
I'm gonna give myself a little distance now out of the range of your spell, and shoot my magic weapon, my recaster ghost.
Sure.
Okay.
And you get two shots with that.
18.
Okay, roll your ammo die. Remember, you have to.
Oh yeah. It's a D8. 4. Nothing happens. Okay.
Okay, then roll the, what was that? That first attack was what?
18 to hit.
Total?
The first one.
Yeah, with all the design.
No.
You roll with advantage because.
No.
Well,
She's not stunned anymore. But she's grappled.
She is grappled.
She's restrained.
She's
she's
not restrained.
Yeah. Whenever did he pin her or no?
She didn't pin her.
He did not pin her. Okay.
She's prone, so you actually have disadvantage. Yeah, and she's harder to hit because she's on the ground and.
Well, then no. I don't hit her.
Okay.
What about my second hit though? Can I still?
Yeah, for sure.
Shoot. These dice.
Shoot, they do.
Hard to manage. Shoot, bedu, bedu. 22 to hit.
22 hits.
Okay, so I'm gonna do.
Roll your ammo die.
4. And I'm gonna do 2d8 plus 4. 12 damage. And can I shoot? If I spend one more key point, I can shoot 2 more times for flurry of blows.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna do that. Aim! Fire! Wait. 18 plus 8 is 20.
Yeah,
Great, so that one does. And this one, 16 plus 8.
There's also a hit.
Great. So let's do 2d8 plus 4 again. 12 damage plus 8 damage is a total
20.
of 20 damage.
Damn. Yeah. So you get a good. You almost hit Mark 9. She's going to interrupt after you hit her. You hit her like right in the side of the head, and it breaks a part of the apparatus that's holding this like gem. She still functions. You can just see some of the circuitry underneath, and it's got some magic vapors. And as you hit her, she kind of wails, and she is going to grab the Mark 9, and she says something in a language that I bet you don't understand. Does anyone speak Celestial?
No.
Yeah, you do.
I do?
The one was like,
Oh, I do.
absolutely not.
I forgot.
She does.
She
forgot.
says
Her magic is unbeknownst, even to herself.
That's part of my
yeah, that's
True.
everything.
I like that.
forgot
She
this
she
forgot
says
that I know what that
specifically a word that doesn't have like a direct translation, but it means like basically like the counter of health. It's like a blessing of disease. And what happens if you're made of metal?
You rust.
Yeah. So she says that, and the Mark 9 starts to like, and you can see this rust, kind of like a rust contagion, kind of like gets on it, and he like literally like coughs, and there's like pieces of him falling out,
Oh,
and he
no.
just
Oh,
like
yeah.
shatters.
That is
And
the
she's-
saddest thing I've ever seen.
And she's going to kind of like stand up really like gracefully, like you can't even see her legs the way her gown. She has like a gown as opposed to like leggings, and she stands up, and that's an action. So with her bonus action, she will. Oh, cool! She'll heal. She says a quick healing prayer. Healing word.
What languages do you know?
I know Common, Dwarvish, Elvish, Celestial, and Binary.
Yeah, so she killed that guy.
Nice.
And let's see, who wants to go next?
I will. I mean, I'm just
Hit
gonna
it!
keep hitting her if y'all don't stop me.
When I say him, I mean.
Okay, cool. We'll via you, we'll
I'm
pass,
not
and we'll have
stopping
another circle moment go down.
Nice. Circle it up.
Still fucking over here doing this.
I mean, I don't know.
You have 4 more now.
Still doing it.
You gonna hit him?
You've just started to sweat.
No, yeah, no.
Now this is really
Jester,
hard work.
What are you doing again?
Casting magic circle.
Yeah, casting
Yeah.
magic circle.
What does that do again?
I can trap her in the circle.
Yeah,
Okay.
Trap her in this way. Go ahead and
Even to the point
you're
where,
gonna
like, the
hit her again.
Like if the ship breaks apart, she'll still be
I
trapped
guess
in the
I'll-
circle.
Okay.
Try something else.
If you want to,
Yeah.
whatever you want. I don't know, Robin. Robin Bobin's saying that you know all languages. 10.
Oh.
I don't know where he's getting that from.
Yeah.
He
I
probably
didn't
knows
see
better
that
than
on
I
my
do, though. I'll say
sheet.
that. What are you looking at? What
I will guiding bolt.
Oh,
Cool.
shit, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think you make a spell attack.
Yeah.
Yes, girl, guide that bowl.
Then we all 46 radiant damage, and we all get advantage on it because you mark it with like a glowing light.
What level are you going to cast it at?
Sweet.
Wait.
What level spell slots do you have? How high?
3.
You can cast it at 3rd level, and it will do 2 extra d6 if you want to. So you could do 66 radiant damage.
Okay, but so I mark it as a
3rd level spell.
3rd level spell.
Mhm. So you're casting it at a higher level.
Sure. Why not?
Might as well.
Yeah.
All right, it's an action. Go ahead and roll your attack.
That's cute. Do I have a modifier in that? I don't remember.
It's your spell attack, so it should be.
It's down here.
Thank you.
No, I didn't do that for you. Wisdom plus 4.
Is that up here?
Gonna be 7. Add 7.
7.
Oh, nice.
And yes, it is up there. It's
That's
the
nice.
plus 7 one.
Oh, thank you.
Nice big 7.
Your
Okay.
spell.
So that's only a 16 though.
To hit.
Yeah.
That does not hit. You want to roll? Do you have
Here.
any-
I do. I have one.
Yeah.
I will.
Go ahead.
I forgot about it. Thank you.
No.
20.
Yeah, that hits.
Go. Thank goodness. Sweet.
Do it.
And how many?
It's 66 now.
Oh dang.
Radiant
You did
damage.
catch it at 2 level?
Whoa.
Shit.
66? That's so
Thank
many
you.
damages.
We'll see.
Damaged it.
Roll that beautiful footage.
Woo! Yeah.
Some
I
of
see
those
some
are real
sixes
good.
over
Flip, flip,
there.
flip, flip, flip.
So that's 12, 13, 14, up to 16, 17, 19, 20, 22.
Yeah.
As you unleash this guiding bolt, probably I would imagine your hand maybe makes a cannon, and you just harness the energy a different way, or how do you see yourself casting it?
So these are all electrical components inside.
Uh-huh.
So rather than from the cannon itself, I see it more of like an opening up situation.
It's like you're just like unleashing
Like a-
different parts. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so this ripple of energy kind of cracks, and it's unlike any energy that you've seen before. It's not it's a celestial. It's a power. It's a holy energy. It's not fire. It's not light. It's something else, and that's significant. As the light covers her, you're casting at such a high level, I almost get like a flamethrower just like washes over her. you see the darkened form of her body as she's literally burned away.
Wow.
Her head and the gear crumbling to ash, and the stone in the center kind of warbling and then cracking, and you see, and I'm going to say, for the sake of the story, this is all happening right as you're like, Anne, last get your chalk and I'm finished. And then you see it happening, and you're able to you're able to finish it up as she dies. Some sort of foul spirit is unleashed from inside the gemstone that was in her helmet apparatus, and it shrieks. It's some sort of unholy abomination. There isn't really a concept of hell or any of that kind of thing in the void, but it does remind you of an ancient evil, and maybe even Ducard says that over the intercom. Some sort of ancient foul evil, and because you've made the magic circle, it is trapped inside the circle, and it can't get out, and it's kind of taking different shapes, and
that works out.
yeah, so cool. And with that, you guys hear a crunching sound as the ship starts to further, the Starliner starts to further rip. The room you're in starting to bend. Nothing rupturing. You're not close enough to the outer hull of it. But we'll go ahead and, I guess it's 10:15 right now. Is there anything else you guys wanted to do before we can just end with a nice little cliffhanger? Or what was your next action? I mean, what was the next thing you guys wanted to do?
It seems like we only had 2 to blow the hole in the ship or open the tunnel to kill the old guy. And we've established that everyone else on the ship is a corporate goon or a ridiculously wealthy person.
No, there's still lots of innocent people.
Oh.
You are in order.
We're not equipped to fight a war.
Tell you this, you did kill Truth Seeker Bell, which is great. You got this thing trapped right here. You guys could attempt to use the arcane gate still.
Cool.
Or you could try to sort something else out. If you use the arcane gate, we can probably resolve this before the night's over. If you guys want to try to work something out, we can just end on a cliffhanger right now and resume with you guys kind of in medias res. Kind of, we'll have you in the middle. We'll talk about it off screen and figure out where you guys want to go. So, how do you feel about it as a group? Do you just want to vote?
I'm down for cliffhanger. That's fine for me.
Yeah, I'm not really ready to blow a hole in the side of the ship. Or use the thing that kills
Agreed.
the guy.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Well, that's fine because honestly, he's an asset, even if he doesn't have his robot friend. And he might be useful to the crew. All right. Cool. Well, then at this point, we'll just remember key components. The ship is. Let's make it a nice round number. Let's say that there are.
Thanks, Mayor.
Yeah. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's say let's decide that we'll roll for how many scenes are left starting next week, so we don't have to determine that right now. And then we'll determine those scenes, and you guys can start this next session in the middle of performing a task. So I don't know if your plan is to keep that thing captured. You're going to have to figure out how to capture that thing. That might be something you have to do right now. Or you can just let it go. If you let go of the circle, you can try to interrogate it. You can try to talk to it. So if you guys want to split up, whenever we're doing narrative in the scenes, you guys should feel encouraged to split up and to run the scenes like you would in an action movie. I will always make sure that the encounter is scaled in a way, or at least set up in a way where you're not like, I'm just in the middle of killing myself. So it is more fun and more dynamic when everybody's like. There should be times when you split up. There should be times when you get together in a fight. That should also inform your action. You wouldn't take on that cleric if I told you she's super dangerous if you're in the scene by yourself. You know, right? Okay, cool. Well, then we'll end the session right there. Everybody can level up.
Yeah!
Having killed my level 15 cleric.
What?
Yep.
Yeah.
Leveling up's like
Oh,
not
shit.
that cool.
She had level 8 spells, kids.
Oh shit!
She cast
Level 8 spells.
Divine Word's a level 7 spell.
Yeah.
You survived.
I'm so glad.
You survived for level
20 hit
8.
points or less, instant death.
Difficult.
No save.
That's dope.
Dead.
You're just dead.
You survived, Tango.
All right. Well, you guys have a good one. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye, Robin.